When it comes to using a cloud platform like AWS, you have a unique opportunity to change the way you manage infrastructure, and you can eliminate the issues that come along with fixed servers that run for long periods of time. And the concept of disposable resources or immutable infrastructure is that your servers are only used temporarily while you need them, and then they can be deleted when they're no longer needed without causing any issues. This also ensures that you're always working with a known good configuration, and it can help stabilize your application, especially when you're working in a continuous delivery model where changes and application updates are constantly being released. And there's a lot of benefits to this approach, and being able to programmatically provision resources and treat infrastructure as code means that you're able to realize these benefits when you're working with a platform like AWS. So let's talk a little bit about the mindset and look at some of those benefits. So let's say that you have a typical long-running fixed server that just gets updated over time. When you build and deploy a new version of your application to the server, you'll of course need to update the application code, and you might even need to patch the OS. So to do this, you'd first need to take the server out of service so no users are working with it while it's being updated. And once the server is taken out of service, you can move forward with updating the application and the operating system if needed. And as long as that goes okay, you can bring the server back into service. Now, in contrast, when you're working with immutable servers or disposable infrastructure, the idea is that our servers are treated like cattle and not like pets. When they're out of date and they need to be updated, or if they crash, they're easily replaced. So if we have an immutable server running version 1 of our application and version 1 of our operating system image, and it comes time to deploy a new version of the application, we provision a new server running the new version of the code in the operating system. And then we can bring that server online and replace the original server running version 1 of our application. And at that point, we have the option to roll back to the first server if we need to. But if everything's been tested through multiple stages within a release pipeline, you'll likely be able to terminate the original server and move on with the fresh instance with the latest and greatest code. And now that we kind of understand the general idea of why we'd want to use disposable resources or immutable infrastructure, let's go over a few more of the benefits. So first, you can practically eliminate configuration drift issues on your servers using this approach. Fixed servers that run for a long time can change due to various reasons. And these changes can be due to things that take place from patches or updates, or it could be because some administrator is logging into the system interactively and mistakenly making changes. And when all this stuff happens, you can end up with the same server having different settings across your development, staging, and production environments. And the side effect with this is that it can slow you down because you're troubleshooting unexpected server issues when you're trying to deploy new versions of code. So implementing a disposable server model means you always know exactly what the server configuration is supposed to be. If something's not right, you can simply replace the server. And a lot of businesses that have adopted this mindset don't even bother with logging into their servers interactively to troubleshoot problems. Since their infrastructure is defined as code, they can programmatically spin up a replacement that's been proven to work with a test stage in a release pipeline. And on top of that, you can reduce errors and failures when you're working with a system that's been built in a repeatable and reliable way. Fixed servers with long lifetimes need more babysitting, and you have to track changes to those servers and understand what their current state is. If you're deploying immutable servers that are defined as code, you have a blueprint in your source control repository of exactly how that server is going to look. And like we've talked about previously in this series, you can use a combination of bootstrapping scripts or configuration management tools along with golden AMIs or Amazon Machine Images. And this ensures that you have the exact server configuration that's checked into version control, and every aspect of the server can easily be tested before it's deployed into production. And finally, remember that immutable servers can stabilize your CI/CD process. It can be a bit of a nightmare from a management perspective if you have to maintain long-running servers in different development, staging, and production environments. So if you can reliably and repeatedly spin up servers using a known good configuration, your outcomes are more predictable and reliable, and your team can iterate quickly and focus on what matters and not worry about chasing issues related to inconsistent server settings. Let's move on now and talk about some of the other architectural patterns you'll need to be aware of for the exam.